Hello and welcome back to part 7 of modelling a Mustang in Fusion 360. Today we'll be kind of covering a few more slight modifications on the entire kind of body, and towards the end starting to deal with the wheel arches. So let's begin with just right at the start. I'm just trying to smooth these kind of curves out, make them less shallow. I don't want like anything ridiculously sharp or anything ridiculously too flat. So just adding some kind of gradient to it all. A lot of the actual modelling I do in this episode, I'm not looking at canvases so much, and there's a couple of reasons why that is. Firstly, I've been looking at canvases, like at this point in the video I've already been looking at the canvas of the car for a few hours, so I kind of know the features of it, and plus like this is my favourite car. I know kind of where the features are anyway, so I do a lot of the modelling without the canvases, but also the second reason is you need to make sure your model is working well, make sure the model's curves look fluid. So if the lines that are on that kind of grid pattern that covers the model are like wavy or something, then you're bound to not capture the shape of the car, because when these cars are designed, they don't design them to have weird wavy bits in them. So just kind of straightening lines out, raising bits. I know the headlights go here, so I'm raising these bits up. Not with any degree of accuracy, I just know they need to be raised, and I will eventually come back to finishing them off, but I just want to get the car at a point where I can start adding in the features such as the headlights, the bumpers, the windscreens, the wheels, the wheel arches, the exhaust, that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to get to that stage at this point. Now, one thing I want to mention that I haven't actually mentioned before is with the kind of points that you drag. So in when you're modeling the points, you should always try and work away from the center. So not front to back or top to bottom, but away from the symmetry line, and I'll explain the reason why. If you get yourself an A4 sheet of paper, I've got one right in front of me here, and you place one finger right in the center of that piece of paper, and then you place one finger on the outside of the piece of paper, and you press down and you force that finger to the center. Naturally, no matter how small they are, it will create a wrinkle between the two fingers. It will pinch up, even the tiniest bit of paper, or a massive amount, depending on how hard you've pressed down and how if you've pressed from the very outside edge or not. But if you do the reverse and you drag that finger from the center outwards, away from your other finger that's staying on that center permanently, you take out the wrinkles. And that's the same that goes with this surface modeling. If you start dragging your points towards that line of symmetry, it will create subtle wrinkles, and they're kind of a very difficult thing to get out of the model, to like unkink the wrinkles. So by working away from that line of symmetry, you're a lot less likely to create like small little problems. I mean, at the time when I was doing this video, I wasn't kind of aware that was happening, but just from experience since, I can say with quite a deal of certainty that you shouldn't be kind of pressing into the middle too much. Obviously, if points have got to go inwards, then they will go inwards, but don't try, if you can, work from the inside to the outside. So work from that line of symmetry, grab the point that's closest to the line of symmetry, and then drag it a bit closer in, and then step out and drag the next one in, etc. Don't start on the very outside corner and work back into the line of symmetry, because I think you will create yourself a few problems. I have done in the past, and it's just kind of a pattern that I've kind of seen from it. I don't know if it's like a general rule. It doesn't always happen, but yeah, I would just say it might be good practice to work in that order. So here I'm dragging towards the center. And like I said, because I'm grabbing a huge panel all at once, it's not so much a problem. But if you're grabbing kind of individual points at a time and you're dragging them towards the center, just work from the ones closest to the line of symmetry further out. I hope that makes a bit of sense. Yeah. So here, just tweaking the model. But like I said, I just want to get it to a point where I can put in the wheel arches, etc. So just lifting that up to match that image line. See there, I worked from the outside in, and now I've created a bit of geometry that actually curves a bit high and then dips. So I've undone it, and now I'm doing it in the opposite order. And the reason why that is like I said, you just kind of create these small little wrinkles, but you will notice that they do cause problems if you don't work in the right order. So there we go. That matches a lot better to the back of the car. Again, it's not perfect, but I'm pretty, like, at this stage I'm very kind of pleased with how it's gone. Like the cars that were earlier than this, perhaps like 2 or 3 cars that I modelled before this, like when I finished the form, they'd be covered in kind of sharp edges that I hadn't even noticed. But with this, there's none of that. So yeah, just practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. See where that's dipped in the center of the screen, how it kind of it curves inwards and then back out again. I don't want that, and the reason why that's happened is because I've selected the bit on the outside first, and now what I'm doing is I'm kind of unkinking it. But like I said, just don't do it in that order. Do the bits that I'm doing now before you drag that outer edge. Otherwise you kind of create these waves in it, and yeah, it's just difficult. Also, just like I said in the last video, remember to kind of show and hide canvases quite frequently. It will just help you discover some issues early on with your model. So yeah. Also, I'd like to use a bit of this time to just ask if there's anything you would want to know in Fusion, like a tool you haven't used. I've probably used it. Other than kind of the sheet metal workspace, I'm pretty familiar with Fusion now. I think, so about 2 years on Fusion, about 6 on SolidWorks. So if you've got any questions about a certain tool, or perhaps you're like trying to model a car on SolidWorks, you kind of do it a different way on SolidWorks. You use a thing called 3D sketching, where you draw a sketch on one plane, say like the top plane, and then you draw a sketch on another plane that's perpendicular to it, so I don't know, the right plane, and then you use a tool called 3D sketching, and basically it will create a curve that from the top it looks like the curve you've drawn from the top, and from the right it looks like a curve you've drawn from the right, and then it's this kind of 3D shape, and that's how you create kind of panels on the cars. It's a lot more difficult. I've done it. I did it. I'm trying to remember what car I did it with, but I did do that for a while. So, but I would say if you're like on SolidWorks and you just want to do some like models like that are a bit easier, or you're not into the kind of the very mathematical way that SolidWorks is, then Fusion's like a way better program if you're more of an artistic thinker, because it does have a lot of the features that SolidWorks has, but then it has features like this that are much more suited to somebody who just like is used to modeling with like clay or something, because that's basically what this kind of the sculpt environment is. It's just like working in clay, except you just dragging tiny points. So there, just unkinking that edge. Hopefully the videos will start to get a bit more interesting in the ones that follow this as I start to do the rest of the features on the car. So in the past kind of few videos, a lot of it has been just modifying the body, which like it has to be done, but visually it's not too entertaining. Like once you've seen it the first time, once the car is kind of as one piece together, it kind of loses its novelty, I would say. So yeah. So there we go, just having a look at some reference imaging that's not side on to see what we're about to do next. So I think we're about to get onto the wheels. Well, the wheel arches. So this is pretty simple. Once you're happy with kind of your model, at this point you should probably like save it. I don't recall saving it at this point, but you should. So yeah, once you're happy with the model, you want to click the finish form button that's at the top. Yeah, just checking the model. I think I've spotted something on the windscreen. Yeah, at the top, it kind of dips in a bit. And that's it, looking at the rear. There we go. So yeah, once you get to a point where you're kind of happy with the car and you want to start adding the features on, click finish form. The body will now hopefully look like this. See, there's not too many lines on it, which is a really good indicator that the model has been very successful, and is going to be a nice 3D 3D object to work with. So to do the wheel arches, take this side on image and you create a sketch. Any plane will do. It doesn't matter how kind of, you could draw it right in the center, or as long as you're looking at it from this point of view, it doesn't matter. You can draw a sketch on the outer plane, or just one on the one of the planes of the origin, because in the extrude tool you can choose where it starts. You can have like offset from the plane, but in this case I've drawn it from the outside. So now you want to go select, go into the drop down menu and go down to spline, and then fit point spline. Really easy tool, the fit point spline. I mean, you'll see straight away. You just click and create point, and that creates this curve. And kind of the best thing about these fit point splines, they're really ridiculously easy to edit. So for things like this, they're so quick, so easy. So I just dragged that to kind of the rough shape of the wheel arch, and then by clicking on that select tool at the top, going back to just the regular mouse tool, I can click and drag these points, or if I click each point, it comes up with this, and that's how you edit kind of the radius and the angle at which the line comes off. So I'm sure I'll use that tool again. Yeah, see here, just dragging that and changing the angle on which the line leaves. But yeah, you just click and drag to move a point, or click a point and then you get that kind of green line thing come up, where you can change the angle. Once you're happy it kind of fits the wheel arch, just seal it up so you have a sketch, like a sealed a sketch that's got linked all the way around so that you can extrude it. And so the same is done here, just using that fit point spline tool again. following the shape of the car, that shape of that wheel arch. Yeah, really, really, really easy tool to use. What you could do as well is, once you're happy with kind of how the wheel arch is, like where their location is, you could just fix some of the points, and then you've got no kind of worries about this sketch ever moving. I don't bother in this because oh well, it just saves me time mainly. But if you were doing it for like a company, if you were working for a company, you definitely want to dimension this, because if you kind of like move something, it'd be really difficult to tell you've moved it until you're like in a very late stage in the project, by which point you probably get a bollock in. So yeah, just if you click on a point and then you right click, you get a drop down menu. There's a tool that says fix, or actually it might be anchor. But yeah. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.